What is up, everybody? I'm Stu with the Gym Real Estate Company, and today I'm going to walk you through how our site suitability service works. And in the particular example of a gym that has a current location, and now they want to open an additional location within maybe the same, if not a somewhat different market, but they don't know where to set up shop. They know their current location has been successful for them, and they want to try to replicate that success as close as possible. So we go ahead and in our site suitability service, we use software that allows us to go ahead and pull any site in the country and look very intimately at the consumer demographic and psychographics of the individuals that go in and out of there. In a very kind of creepy Big Brother way, this software is tracking the cell phones that go in and out of these buildings. It is then following those cell phones. It knows what you're purchasing. It knows your household income. It knows where you live to a street level. It can tell where you go to school. It knows what dining and restaurants you're going to. Like I said, a little Big Brothery, a little creepy. But from a real estate perspective, right? Real estate being one of the most expensive and high risk assets that you're going to have on the books with your business, we want to make sure we're setting up shop in somewhere where you're going to be successful. Too often a gym owner will set up shop somewhere that is not ideal for them. But just because they drove by or there was a Whole Foods on the corner or, oh, I thought this was a good part of town, they just made a very general assumption. Now we can go ahead and look very intimately at this data. In this example, I have got Metabolic, a very popular national franchise that started here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I have one of their locations pulled up in Elizabeth, North Carolina. Now, I can go ahead and take a look at this location, and I can get an overview on the visits, the ins and outs of this cell phone. I can understand exactly what kind of traffic this location sees on a regular basis. I can also then go and start looking at the demographics. Who is coming into these facilities, right? Based on the cell phone, who is coming into this facility and what exactly does that person want from a psychographic standpoint? Right? How do they buy? Maybe how do they vote? What is their aptitude with technology? How many kids do they have? Where do their kids go to school? Where do they live? All that information is available due to what we call an Experian Mosaic. Now, an Experian Mosaic, a lot of us are familiar with Experian, and tell me if this brand looks familiar to you. Right here. This is Experian. A lot of us recognize Experian as one of the three credit bureaus. There's Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. Those are the three credit bureaus that produce a credit score. Now, while credit scores are a big part of their business, their bigger part of the business is in data, specifically consumer segmentation data. So Experian has taken and aggregated a ton of different data resources. They give you everything from age, marital status, presence of children, occupation, whether they're in urban or rural or suburban markets, how long it takes them to travel to work, their credit behavior, their voting behavior, on properties. We know how many rooms, we know the year it was built. We can tell you, what the rent is being paid, all this crazy. Again, very kind of creepy data, but they've essentially taken it and they have created 71 different consumer segmentation profiles. And when you know the intimate consumer segmentation profile of your customer, you can then go ahead with services like that we pay money for to go ahead and see the map and see where is that consumer segmentation at within the market. And then we obviously want to set up our business within that area. So it takes all the guesswork out. Now, when we get into this, let me just show you. So these are all the different categories of Experian Mosaics. Each of these is a mosaic. And they have different, funny little quirky names like sport utility families, sophisticated city dwellers, couples with clout. And they're all broken down. And while here they're just names, once we get into it, you can go ahead and see flourishing families are affluent, middle-aged families and couples earning prosperous incomes and living very comfortable, active lifestyles. They're affluent, they're charitable contributors. Maybe they go to church or they donate. They have athletic activities. They're currently saving for college, meaning their kids are younger. High credit card use, family-oriented activities. And you can get a whole bunch of other demographic and psychographic information. And then it even dials it in even further taking it to residency and estimated current income and education and all very deep census-based data. So just to give you a quick little oversight as to what this looks like, and anyone can go and Google, Mosaic USA Handbook and download an Experian Mosaic Handbook and look at the 71 different profiles that have been created. But unless you have access to software like this, it's not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. You probably won't be able to see where those people are on a map and in relationship to where you want to open up your next facility. So what we can do here is I've got Metabolic teed up, and I've gone down and I'm going to go and look at their Experian Mosaics. All right. There's a lot of different things we can look at here, but I'm going to stick with the Mosaic for this example. Now, I can go ahead and instantly see that an overwhelming amount of the visits, meaning cell phones that go into this building, fall under this category. A, the power elite. Specifically, it breaks down into a couple really high-end, upper class individual categories. All right, cool. So I'm going to take note. We got AO1, AO2, AO3 does pretty well. AO6 does really well. Okay. What other category do they index very highly in? And this index scale, as you're going to see, is based on the state average. You can do it based off the national average, but for most microgyms, we're going to stick to more of a local scale and look at it based off the state. So 46% there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next highest one, 22%, and that is young city solos. So G24 and G25. So I can go over to my handbook, and let's say we want to look at that G24, G25, and here we go. These are the ambitious singles, youthful, cutting-edge singles living in mid-scale metro areas, balancing work and leisure lifestyles. Well, I know the metabolic clientele, and I would agree that is 100% accurate. I can look at all this demographic information, get an idea as to who they are, what they're into, and then I can get really into the weeds down here. But what we're ultimately interested in, are these individuals going to be located in the site that we're selecting? So this right here is a breakdown of who is currently going into this metabolic location. We go ahead and start looking for a site for you. Now, once you've landed on a site you like, now we go ahead and ensure it's going to be a match compared to the data we have on your first facility. So let's go ahead and say we were looking at locations here in Charlotte. Right? And we decided on this location. And here we are. There's a brand new plaza being built that might be a perfect fit for a metabolic. Now, it wouldn't be because this is way too close to their other location, but just for the point of conversation, to give you an example here, let's just pretend like it was. So we can go here, and obviously all this information we're able to pull with our listing services. But ultimately what I care about is this a good site? Does it match up with the avatar that is currently making their first location very successful? So I take this address here, 3061 North Sharon Amity Road, and I go ahead and I plug it back into Placer. And then here we are, 3061 North Sharon Amity Road. I've got it. I'm going to go look at the demographics. So once we get the demographics pulled up, we're going to go down to the Experian Mosaics, and we're going to see where they index highly. Now, if you remember, the first location that did really well with the A category and then the G category. So let's look at the A category. 5.2%. Definitely not as strong as their first location. Their first location was over 40% coming out of this A category. Let's look at the G category. 4.3%. Not very good either, considering their first location had over 20%. And we just go back to compare. Remember, 46% here in the A category, and then here in the G category, 22%. So instantly, based on just basic demographic, and let's not really call it basic, this is pretty intense stuff. Based on this information, this might not be the best location for them. Okay, this one over-indexes strongly with suburban style. Okay, so let's see maybe how this other metabolic does in suburban style. Less than 0.5% versus this site we're looking at is indexing at 16.2%. This location is highly not likely to be a fit based on just who lives in the area, knowing what we know about the first location. and I feel comfortable speaking about this to Metabolic and other successful brands in the fitness industry, is that when they have a successful location, they make sure to get very granular as to who their customer base is. And then they're going to go and rinse and repeat that. They're not going to get speculative. They're not going to go off into new markets and guess or try to see if, well, maybe the suburban moms will like our thing too. Based on this information, that's not who likes their thing. Their thing is by people, upper class individuals who are really into fitness and young city solos, these young professionals that probably love the social, the really gritty brand element of what they deliver. Whatever the reason is that those categories have favored Metabolic, we're not going to question it. We just want to replicate that success, not take a risk in messing this up and making a crazy huge investment in commercial real estate in a location that's not going to create the same level of success. I hope this was informative for you. If you currently are a gym owner and you have a commercial real estate project, you're looking to lease or buy a building, we would love to work with you. Please shoot me an email, stu@gymrealestate.co. I'd love to talk to you about what you've got going on.